A little over a year ago today, I went down a recurring rabbit hole of micronationalism, to which led me to wanting to obtain notable titles from places such as Sealand and West Arctica. In this rabbit hole, I discovered the Quackers' Kingdom, which made me realize I didn't need to buy my way to recognition like Man United. I could establish one of my own. So I racked my mind for a day or so on a reason and purpose to found my own nation that wasn't just me being broke or lazy. Through this, I was enlightened with an idea in a way that felt as if I was visited by Gabriel himself. I realized that the outcome of the Emu War was almost as unfair as the Treaty of Versailles. In a war upon territory, the victor will usually claim the territory to which fought upon, correct? The Australian retreat and surrender of the Emu War means that the Emus had won the conflict upon their rightfully inhabited land, yet were granted nothing. I decided to take this into my own hands and bring the representation of the emus needed. 1 year ago today, I founded the Grand Kingdom of Emuþia. I made the flag, the first coat of arms, the Discord account, started the venture into micronationalism. 4 days later, I spent my 4th of July in my basement forgetting which independence I was really supposed to be celebrating, and instead starting on the website for Emuþia. I sent out emails to which almost all were ignored except for that of Kernan, to which I am eternally grateful for being the first to recognize us. Also on that day, I introduced many of my friends to Emuþia, to which we have people such as Prime Minister Lenning, the Duchess of Wagabi, and the Duke of Lubeltop. Following all of that, I went heavily on Discord, seeking some early growth in diplomacy, which led me to many learning experiences and other ventures. September gave us amazing growth in Emuþia. The second constitution was ratified, first legislation passed, the armed forces established, and we gained many new regions across the world. The end of September also brought the only armed conflict Emuþia has engaged in so far, single-handedly carried out by Lieutenant Clark. This conflict was against the neighboring Adremia on the border of Neuropia. October and November gave us many parts that are necessary for a nation to exist. Important legislation was passed for the basic legal code, judicial system, foreign policy, along with the first feather banknotes being printed. December was one of the most important months in our history so far, for it brought the ratification of the third constitution of the kingdom, which led to the system of government Emuþia currently has, with a bicameral parliament, elected prime minister, etc. The new year started immediately with a declaration of independence from the province of Neuropia as the new Republic of Neuropia, to which we recognized not seeking any conflict or anything. The rest of January brought the prime minister elections, where Lord Lenning of Nova Arca, the Minister of National Symbolism and Internal Affairs, was elected the first prime minister of Emuþia. January also brought the establishment of the now defunct Offices of Organized Crime Control and the Emuthian Gazette. February brought the official separation of Parliament with the election of the lower house of the Velascoda, along with Emuthia's signing of the Joan Convention of LGBTQ rights and the first bill to not pass through Parliament, the Yet Inactivity Act of 2026. March had many twists and turns, starting with the passing of the Second Foreign Policy and Diplomacy Act, which furthered the advance of proper Emuthian foreign affairs. Following this, the Knightly Privileges Act of 2026 became the first passed legislation to be vetoed by the sovereign. After that, Emuþia lost the free city of Frauland as a dominion of the kingdom. Finally, as controversy over the Quackers' Kingdom became a very large issue striking the micronational community, former Minister of Foreign Affairs Stanley Garland was entrusted in managing this predicament. However, Garland handled it in the most immature and unprofessional manner. So I retracted his authority over the Quackish affairs and announced that the Prime Minister and I would convene and make a decision regarding the situation. We ended up never making a decision on the matter, which led to many things to follow in April. On April 19th, Stanley Garland formally resigned from all Emuthian offices after an extended period of inactivity and ignorance of the kingdom. This, I believe, was most likely caused by the Quackers' Kingdom situation in the month prior. A week later, the Grand Premier Asa Ward declared a state of martial law within the Unitary Republic of Kernan. After convening with the Emuthian Council of Ministers, we announced the severing of diplomacy with Kernan until further notice, to which Kernan replied with a complete termination of foreign affairs with Emuþia. May brought much inactivity within the kingdom. However, the month ended with a revival of that, with the appointment of Gabriel Ferrari of Celestria as Minister of Foreign Affairs and the adoption of Fuchic's entry of the Gladiators as the national anthem, to which we renamed Ingressus Emuorum. This brings us to the most recent month of Emuþia, where we recognize the abdication of former Kaiser White of the Quackers' Kingdom. Later in the month, the Prime Minister and I embarked on a state visit to the American capital of Washington, D.C., where we passed a lot of time by gambling feathers. This led to the passing of the Gambling Act of 2026 a week later with the establishment of the Casino of Emuþia in the capital Crowland. This month marked a start for a hopefully economically prosperous era of Emuþia with the bottling of the first Emu Cola bottles, which I have right here, which may be purchased for 3 feathers a bottle, and if you know me personally, you may buy some, give you like $4.29 or more, and I can exchange it to feathers, and you can like buy one. And it's good because now we're getting money, which means we can become an even more prosperous and healthy and glorious kingdom for the aid of everyone. Finally, this month ended with a slight revival of Parliament after the reintegration of Neuropia into the kingdom. So may this next year of the glorious, glorious golden reign of Emuþia be even more prosperous and hopefully partially profitable. Lugo vivo Emuþia.